Hey there YouTube, it's Gravity762. I was browsing YouTube the other day and I kind of decided that, you know what YouTube needs? It's another Mosin Nagant review. So that's obviously sarcasm, but in either case, here's my Mosin Nagant review. So, ammo selection. I was kind of surprised. There wasn't that much ammo out there that I could find. And when I say that, I don't mean that like the amount that's out there isn't a bunch, it's just the selection isn't that huge. You've got your silver bear and your brown bear stuff. That's just kind of middle of the line. It's not insanely good, but it's not awful. It's about $9 for 20 rounds, which isn't that bad. 45 cents a round, but you can't reload that stuff. It's got the Burdan primer in it. I think you need Boxer to reload. I don't reload that much myself. I don't have that much experience with it, but I do know that about it. And then above that, you've got the Privy Partisan. It's 14 bucks for 20 rounds. That's like top of the line stuff. But that's also more, I think, geared towards reloaders because it's got the right primer in it. It's a good round, good brass on it. You can reload. You can reuse it once or twice or whatever. But you've also got the surplus ammo, and the surplus ammo is one of these bad boys. They come in 880 or 440. This is a 440, but I did buy the 880, and then I just split it with a buddy of mine. So that's pretty cool. It came in a big wooden crate, a bunch of Russian gibberish on it. Thought it was pretty cool. Get this thing open. So here is the Russian surplus ammo. You see that there. It's not. I haven't shot it yet. I'm going out to the range in probably an hour here. It's not awful looking, and yeah, it looks like it'll get the job done, obviously. But yeah, I'll try and put up some range footage right after this, and I'll tell you how it goes. But can't really say anything about the performance until I actually shoot it. But a couple things I will say about the surplus ammo that I know of already is it's corrosive, but let me say something about that. I think everybody is kind of blowing the corrosiveness issue way out of proportion. Corrosive just means that you have to clean your gun a little bit more. You should clean it after every time you shoot it, but you should be doing that anyway, honestly. So I don't think that it's that big of a deal, honestly. Like I said, another thing, you can't reload these because of the primer that's in it, which, I don't know, I don't see the point in reloading the Mosin anyway, honestly, because it's just so cheap. For 440 rounds is $84, and for the big 880 round crate, it's $170. I just can't justify reloading the Mosin, honestly. So, that's what I'll say about that. Here we are at the range. Got this surplus ammo here. I'm going to shoot out of the Mosin a couple times. Alright, well, I just got back from the range, and overall I'd say I'm pretty impressed with the ammo, especially considering the price, but I'll go into that stuff a little bit more in a minute here. Let's see, overall the accuracy of the ammo, I'd say not awful, not too shabby. It's nothing really particularly special about it, but no major complaints really. I've got a picture here of the target that I used. I'll put it up while I'm talking right now so you can see how I did. It's a pretty tight group. There's like the 2 flyers in the top left, but as you can see I was also shooting a little bit to the left. But overall, not bad. Pretty tight group. No complaints about that. I think really the only major complaint I have about the surplus ammo was it had a problem feeding a couple times into the rifle. Like when you go to cycle in a fresh round in a new clip, I should say, it wouldn't always load. So you'd have to pull out the foot plate on the bottom and pull all the shells out, reload it again, and then it would usually work. Honestly, I'm not going to complain about it though. Here's one of the spent rounds I had. I'm not going to complain about it though, just because of the price. I don't mind, just fishing out a round, taking it out, loading it back in, whatever, every once in a while, just because the ammo itself is so cheap. Honestly, it's not a major concern. I don't think it should bother you any if you buy the surplus stuff. Overall, I'd say it's worth it. I'd say the surplus ammo is worth it. So that's my verdict on that, and let's see what else we got in store. Alright then, without any further ado, let's take a look at the rifle. Overall condition, not terribly bad. It's coming up on 70, so it's obviously a little bit tore up. You got some shit right there, some more up there. Got this line just pretty much all the way up. I think that's from the barrel bands, whenever they got taken off before by whoever. So it's a little bit tore up. On the other side here, we got this, it's a little beat up. That, not too bad on this side. So overall, I don't think I'm going to complain about this either. Yeah, not bad. If any of you are wondering, no, it's not loaded, nothing in there. You're okay, and I'm okay. So that's how she looks. Overall condition, I don't really mind that it's a little bit beat up. I think it's just a pretty rifle overall, and I think it'll be even better once I refinish it. And I will probably post a video of that. Right now my idea is pretty much just to, sand it all off and refinish it with probably Golden Oak by Minwax. I saw what Nut and Fancy did to his on his Mosin video, and I think he did an excellent job with it. I think it's a really pretty gun, so that's what I'm planning on doing to mine. It'll be a little bit lighter than this, but it's all personal preference. If you're looking into doing something like that, do whatever you want. So yeah, that's how she looks. I'm going to show you some of the markings on here. I'll start with the so-called serial number. I don't really want to call it exactly a serial number just because, you can't really track it nowadays. Just because they didn't really keep track of any of this when they were making it. They were just stamping all the parts. And it's got 4 different stamps on it, well, 4 numbers on it. And it's stamped, they have that number on there. God, I can't talk today. They have that number on there stamped in 4 different locations on the Mosin. So the first one, 497. Second one, 497. Next one is 497 right there on the butt of the stock. And then there's the last one. So you can see it's a 1942. And this little guy right there, that means it's from the Izhevsk arsenal, which means it was made over at that specific factory whenever this gun was made, 70 years ago. Another thing I'm going to show you is, it's right there, it's the refurb mark. It's kind of hard to see. There you go. See the little square with a diagonal through it? That pretty much just means the gun was refurbished. And chances are if you got a Mosin, it was refurbished. So that's pretty much universal on everything. If you look real hard, you can kind of see the stock splice that they did right there, that line. The wood grain doesn't exactly match, but you know, what are you gonna do? I was lucky enough to get this gun for free, so I am not going to complain. I mean, it's already a cheap gun. Even cheaper means even better. When you buy one of these things, it comes with one of them kits. Like I said, I did not buy mine from a store or whatever, from a gun store. I got it from a buddy of mine. It was a present from him. Thanks, Nick. Yeah, I don't have the stuff for it, but I don't really care because it's a free gun. You don't get the right to bitch if you get a free gun. But some of the stuff that comes with it is, it's got a bayonet, goes way down here, mounts on the end of the barrel. It's got 2 ammo pouches, I believe, for storing stripper clips in them. It's got a multi-tool that can be used for pretty much, you can pretty much work in the entire gun with that little multi-tool. An oil can, I think, comes in some of them. And I don't really know what else comes in it. I don't really care, I don't have one. I might get one, you know, down the road. Just 'cause, you know, why not? But, yeah, that's what comes with it. There's other videos of people who've actually bought it. If you really are curious about the accessories, go check one of those vids out, 'cause I do not have any. I'm sorry. But I'm going to get into disassembly now. The disassembly on this gun, the teardown, really nothing to it. I'll show you how to do it. First, you want to pop the bolt up, and then pull the trigger, kind of pop it out. It's really hard to do with one hand, especially when you got those fucking sausage fingers like I do. So there you go, bolts out. One thing I should say about this is it does come apart into probably 8, 9, 10 different pieces, and really the only time you would ever need to do that is if there was something wrong with your firing pin, or if you needed to remove some of the cosmoline. That, from what I understand, the cosmoline that's in the bolt, that's usually what causes the sticky bolt syndrome that you might get every now and then. So really the only time you ever need to pull this apart is if you need to do some firing pin maintenance or the spring maintenance or whatever. Or like I said, the cosmoline. When you get this thing, it will probably be covered in cosmoline. I was lucky enough to not have that, like I said, because I got it off a friend of mine. It was his for a while, and now it's mine. But actually another buddy of mine bought one pretty recently. We wiped that thing down for probably an hour, and it didn't get all of it off. But, I mean, it's everywhere. It's just going to be caked whenever you get that. There's some really good cosmoline videos out there. Cosmoline removal, I should say. I think Iraq Veteran 8888 did one, if I remember correctly. If not, there's some other ones out there. So check some of those out. But yeah, to get back to disassembly, you pull the bolt out, and then over here you got these 2 barrel bands. You got one right there, and you got one right there. All you do to take these off is press that little metal band down, and then you push this forward, and it comes all the way down. You want to do this one first, obviously, but they both come down. I think you can take them off. Otherwise, they just kind of chill out the end of the barrel. Whatever, no big deal. And then over here, this is a really, really simple part. There's 2 screws. There's one right underneath where the bolt should be, and there's one right there in front of the trigger. All you do is pull those 2 guys out, and you're good to go. The whole action will lift out, you know, provided you take this stuff off and you take this wooden piece off and all that. Yeah, the action will lift right out. It's really simple. You can pull that apart if you want, the action that is. A lot of stuff in there. I mean, it's very simple though still, the way it's set up. I haven't had to pull the action apart yet, and I just don't see the point in it. It's working fine for me. Well, except for the trigger. This specific trigger, a little bit loose. I know how to fix it, I just haven't yet, because it requires pulling the action apart and whatever. And I just don't feel like doing that, honestly. So yeah, that's disassembly. As for custom work that you might want to do to it, update it or whatever, there's pretty much an endless amount of things you can do to this gun. Your mind is the limit, honestly. I've seen 10-round extension mags. Obviously, as in opposition to the standard 5, this is. It's got a 10-round. Probably comes down to like right there, I'd say. That's kind of interesting. Might check that out. But you can also mount a scope on here if you wanted to. There's two ways you can go about doing that. Either you can mount it up here. You have to take the iron sights off though. So you either take that out. I think you have to do some soldering and you got to get a pin and knock it out and all that. So you take that off and then you mount the scope on top of that iron sight mount. You can do that, or you can do it this way where you get the bolt and you bend it. You get the bolt bent, I should say. So it's pointing down, and then so it'd be more like that. But then after you shoot to eject the old round, push it up, so it'd just be right there in order to have maximum clearance for a scope to fit there. You can drop in a new stock, a new more modern stock, whatever you're into. I'm not really into sporterizing and all that. I like to keep it simple. But if that's what you want to do, go for it. There's stuff out there, whatever you want to do. My last point here is reliability. This gun is a workhorse. It was made, obviously, wartime Russia, from the 1890s, all the way up to whenever the SKS came out. This thing is a tank. It is not going to break on you. It comes apart in like 3 major pieces, honestly. How can anything like that break? So it's reliable. You can run it over with a tank. It'll maybe still work. I don't know. It's mostly wood. We'll see about that. But overall, solid gun. It will always work for you. And there's not much this gun really can't handle, honestly. So if you're still on the fence about getting one, I would highly recommend you go and check one of these things out. If you don't want to buy one, I would at least try shooting one. Maybe your buddy's got one, and I imagine that'll probably change your mind. Honestly, I love this gun. I've got probably about 10 or 15 guns in my house, but this is definitely my favorite. So I think you should definitely check it out. It is worth it, especially with how cheap it is. So thank you. So that wraps up the video. Hope it helped you decide if you wanted one or not. If you like the video, like it. If you like the channel, subscribe to it and all that. Thank you.